Jenna Bush Hager is back in headlines for a story that sounds small at first, but quickly became one of those personal moments viewers understand immediately. On Today with Jenna and Sheinelle, Jenna revealed that a simple drive past her family's former home turned into an unexpected invitation inside. The unanswered question was simple. What happens when a place you used to live stops being just a house and suddenly becomes a doorway back into your own family history? The newest confirmed update is that Jenna told the story during the Thursday, June 18th episode of Today with Jenna and Sheinelle. She said she had been visiting a town where her family used to live when her daughter Mila suggested they drive past their old house. Jenna agreed, but the quick look from the car became much more memorable when someone inside the home waved at them. For verified entertainment updates without the rumors, subscribe to Startline Entertainment. According to Jenna's own retelling, once the person in the window waved, she felt she had two choices: keep driving and look awkward, or stop and explain why they were there. Her daughters were not exactly thrilled. Jenna said Mila and Poppy were embarrassed and tried to hide, telling her not to stop. But Jenna pulled over anyway, and that is when the story changed. The current residents came outside, greeted the family, and invited them inside. Parade's coverage of the same on-air conversation added that Sheinelle Jones directly asked Jenna whether the family was actually allowed in. And Jenna said yes. She explained that the house was being redone, but she was still able to walk through the rooms and point out memories to her children. That detail is why this became more than a funny "mom embarrasses the kids" segment. Jenna said the house was one her family had lived in for a long time. It was also the home where she and her husband Henry Hager were living when they brought Poppy and Hal home from the hospital. For Jenna, walking through it was not just about seeing walls and rooms again. It was about revisiting the early years of raising her children. Jenna's family life has often been part of her public storytelling on Today. She and Henry share 3 children: Mila, born in 2013, Poppy, born in 2015, and Hal, born in 2019. People's Background profile on her children notes that Jenna has been candid about motherhood on the show, often mixing sentimental reflections with the everyday chaos of parenting. That is what made the old house moment feel familiar to regular viewers. Jenna was not presenting a formal celebrity home tour. She was describing a spontaneous family detour, one child suggesting the drive-by, 2 daughters immediately regretting the public awkwardness, and a mother deciding to lean into the moment because the house still carried meaning. There was also a second layer in the conversation because Sheinelle Jones understood the feeling. Parade reported that Sheinelle shared her own memory of returning to a former home in Wichita and finding that a view she remembered as open wheat fields had changed into a subdivision. Jenna then said her mother had once gone by one of their old homes and found that it had been torn down. That exchange gave the segment its emotional center. The story was not only about Jenna being recognized by a current homeowner. It was about how places change, how childhood and parenting memories attach themselves to ordinary spaces, and how strange it can feel when someone else is now living inside a chapter that once belonged to you. Jenna has lived in several places over the years. People noted that she has lived in Texas, Manhattan, Long Island, and Connecticut, and that she also lived in the White House while her father, George W. Bush, was president. The same article reported that Jenna and her family have lived in Connecticut since 2022. That moving history matters because Jenna has also spoken publicly about eventually imagining another chapter. People reported that in an August 2025 episode, she talked about a dream of moving back to Texas someday and giving her children a different kind of life, including the kind of public high school experience she had growing up in Austin. But this latest story was not an announcement that Jenna is moving. It was not a real estate reveal, and it was not a clue about where her family will live next. The confirmed update is narrower and more personal. Jenna drove past a former home, was invited inside by the current residents, and used the moment to reflect on the memories her family made there. What viewers should not assume is that the exact home location is public, or that the current residents were looking for attention. Okay, magazine noted that Jenna did not reveal the town where the old home was located. That is important because this story involves a private residence and children. So the responsible focus is on Jenna's public memory, not on trying to identify the address. The start line takeaway is that Jenna Bush Hager's old house story worked because it was not a scandal or a major career shift. It was a small, relatable moment that connected her public life to something most people understand: the pull of a place where major family memories happen. Sometimes the story is not about a dramatic reveal. Sometimes it is about a mother standing inside a room and asking her kids whether they remember. The clearest current status is this: Jenna shared the story on Today with Jenna and Sheinelle after a spontaneous drive past a former family home. The new owners invited her and her children inside. Jenna remembered bringing Poppy and Hal home from the hospital there. Her daughters were embarrassed at first, but the visit became a warm look back at a family chapter that has already passed. What remains private, and should stay private, is the exact home and the identity of the residents who welcomed them in.